What's up, world? It's your boy Rocky Rex, and today I want to make a video about just my weekly review. The weekly review will cover my trades from this past Monday. I believe this past Monday was the 21st, so it'll be covering the 21st through the 25th. This week I made $8,000. 8,400 bucks trading. And I just want to make this video to go over what exactly I was trading and see if that can become a repeatable process, in the future. So if you look here, the first stock that I traded was BIVI. I noticed this stock on 10/18, right? And this is one of those Friday runners. So every weekend, there could be potential opportunity in the stock market, especially when you see these big green days right here, trading with volume. When I saw this, immediately it just goes on my radar for a potential gap opportunity, right? But gaps, they are one thing I want to point out in the video is just market environment. That's what I've been learning over the past couple months of the market environment has to be right. It can't be just everything downtrending for these gappers to work. It needs to be either stable or the market needs to be trending up for these types of gap plays to work. So if I look on the SPY on 10/18, see 10/18, we have it just kind of being stable-ish, right? We have just a sideways candle, pretty much not going too far up, not going too far down. So this right here gave me that conviction that we would be able to swing this stock, especially with the market being at the all-time highs at 586. So that gave me the conviction to buy this stock. And I took a couple of different entries on Friday just to get a feel of it. But my main win came from the swing trade. So if I go back in time, we see this past Friday, it kind of popped out of nowhere right around 2 o'clock. And you see this spike that it gives you, and pretty much came from $1.20 all the way up to $2.80. I want to see whether or not this can continue to hold that sideways action into the after hours. That was the biggest play for me. So I took a stab at this originally in the 190s, and I'm a big person with, if the profits come too fast, I believe it's a perfect opportunity to sell. So if I buy, and I bought these shares right here down at 192, and as soon as I started making above 20%, I start to sell some of my shares, if I feel like the move is happening too fast. So right here around 330, I bought at 192. And I see we get an instant spike up to 247, so I'm letting shares off go right there, letting shares go off in the 260s as well. And I believe I sold both of my portions of shares in the 247 and 260s. But that was just a starter move, just to get a feel of the stock. I later rebought this stock. So you can see I bought this stock down here in the, I'll say, we can go to see the 260s, 250s, 260s, that area. Loaded up a bunch of shares, and my plan was just to ride it into the next day. Luckily, we got a huge gap up. We see we got a gap up on Friday. So pretty much from 260 to 4, it's around 60% of your money. Had a decent amount of shares, about a 10K position size, relatively small, and I came out with around $5,000 on that day. So that set me up with a good start for the week. As you can see from the past 2 days when I traded it, I closed $8,000 on that stock. So then going into that following day, the 22nd, it's just about managing. So a lot of times where I feel I mess up in my trading is, right after a big winner, right? We get a big winner, we lock in almost 10K from BIVI and other various plays. And we want to, continue that momentum. Just naturally, as a human, you want to continue to get better, bigger, and keep seeing what, if you can do it, you can repeat it, right? So, like I said, the big things that I've been realizing this year is that market environment is super, super critical. Looking back at just because in this type of market, a play might be there today, momentum might be there today, and then the very next day it feels like momentum just got sucked out and there's no plays. So you have to be very adaptive in this market. I feel like um, there may be like pockets and windows of opportunity, maybe 1 week or 2 weeks throughout the month. But other than that, you have to really just sit back and be patient. And going into my trade on the 22nd, that's what I showed. That's what I really showed. I did trade fun. So with everything, you want to go back and look at the daily. And why did I trade fun on the 22nd? Boom. I traded fun on the 22nd because, it broke out with volume, right? So this move right here, I really, it makes me pay attention to it. But to me, the breakout doesn't start until it trades with volume. So if we go into this intraday on the 22nd, third, 22nd. All right, we get this nice run, right? And unfortunately, I just missed this run, right? I traded this right in the middle of the day, which is not a part of my rules, right? So that's the reason I've lost on this trade, lost around 245 bucks, right? And you can see I was up and down on the trade, but the reality is um, the type of trader I am. I typically am trying to avoid midday action. So my pocket's a window when I make the most money is 9:30 to 11 a.m. And I want to really just take 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. just off. Don't want to really be trading much. Just want to be monitoring, but not active in the markets at all. So if we go and look at that intraday of the chart, you can see I was just taking stabs, right? I was just taking stabs when it was overextended already, and I just didn't have the conviction um, to keep playing this long. Even though it did gap up that next day on the 23rd, I pretty much missed this move, and that's one thing that I have to recognize is if I don't have a good entry, the move is gone. Like it's no point in keep continuing that move because essentially, the stock it ran from, I would say, the low from nines. So it ran from 919 920, and it got to the, I'm gonna just say 920 is a low, and it got all the way up to a high of 13-ish, 1330. So essentially it gave you 40, almost a 40%, a little over 40% move if you caught from 920 or maybe even the 940s. It gave you a 30-40% move that you could capture, right? When stocks move and give you moves over 20%, especially in this type of time range, it's normally time to sell, and kind of just expecting more in that intraday is a little bit greedy. So in hindsight, I just should have just avoided it, playing anything in this 12s, but just continued to watch it because it did give you that sideways action that you really want, that consolidation just from here to here all the way into the after hours. You can see it still held over VWAP and gave you a nice opportunity to potentially make more money in the pre-market the next morning. But still only a $245 loss. But in hindsight, if I'm not getting these price numbers, I shouldn't be trying to play it later, right? Because that could lead to a lot of slippage and unnecessary losses, especially playing it in the midday. So something to just note and know that I need to get better at. Then the next day was the 23rd. And the 23rd, it was just the same thing of just about managing. On the 23rd, there was a good play that popped up though. It was TVGN. And if we look at that intraday, that's what all the times we want to start is the intraday. We see the 23rd, we get this pop with momentum, right? So if you look on the intraday chart, you can kind of tell when certain stocks are going to pop up or when it's going to be a big day or whatever because of, pre-market volume. We see the abnormal pre-market volume. See it finally trading 100K block in a minute, then pops out 40,000 shares, right? And you kind of just want to, you'll know when it pops with that volume if you just compare, like literally the first minute of the day compared to these past minutes, right? So we traded 700,000 that past day, but on the previous day, the highest we could get is 400,000. Clear sign to show that, hey, momentum is in. You just need to look for price action to set up. All right, and that's exactly what I did here. So with TVGN, I bought this stock right here at 242, right? And my goal was just to make 20-30%, right? In hindsight, on this initial move right here, at the 240 level, I should have just sold all of my shares. I was holding on to my shares a little bit too long, not expecting for it just to consolidate the whole entire day like it did. So on my shares on Thursday, I mean not Thursday but Wednesday, I got a half winner. So from 240 up to about 290, 291 is where I sold my shares. locked in about, how much did I lock in? So overall, made about $3,000 on this trade. But on this specific day, I only locked in about 1,200. I continued to play this stock because, yep, it looked like the same exact setup as BIVI, right? So we have that momentum. We get a break right here. We get a strong little break. It's still holding this level. And I see in the after hours, I see it going and just holding the 260 level really good. Then I see 260, a lot of 260 bidders. Let me pull it up so you guys see what I'm talking about. So once I see this action and then I see it die and then recover back again in the after hours, I'm thinking about the whole picture, right? So does this look like it keeps consolidating for the whole, just the whole day, right? And that includes after hours, right? I'm not taking too much consideration into the after hours, but I do like to see the whole picture forming when it comes to swings after hours. So once I see this hold again of the 260s, all right, I immediately want to get long because at this point it's popped up. It could have died right here. But since it recovered again in this little after hours area in the 260s, I felt like it was a very good opportunity to relong this stock, right? And that's exactly what I did. So from the 260s all the way up until 316 is what I bought and I sold my initial shares. But again, since this was I had the idea of this stock potentially going to four or at least 350, just continuing this breakout. I held on to my shares and I ended up breaking even on the other portions of my shares. So I did get a nice sell off at the 316s in after hours. Not after hours, but pre-market. But after those shares, I pretty much broke even on the rest of the shares, selling the rest at 270s. So it ended up making me only $1,500 on that day, which is why we got that combined, basically $3,000 win. And you can see my entries and exits right here on this chart. You see me entering in the 260s, adding some more again in 275, and then selling half at 315, trying to buy a little more at 3, and then ending up selling everything for break even on the rest of the shares at 275 once I saw that it was just really weak. All right. And now we're going to move into that last day, which is the 25th, right? So the 25th, the only play that I really saw in action that was a multi-day runner was UAVS, right? And I was just watching this stock because, boom, one, UAVS used to be a big runner that I recognized in the past, that I know a lot of other traders made a lot of bank on it. So whenever it pops up with volume, I do want to watch it. So it popped up with volume, but you can see like it's not the best daily chart. Just kind of pops up and went kind of straight down. Let me see. It probably looks better here. Right. So it popped up and then went straight down. Right. Had a nice run, but I try to stay away from first screen days because at least playing them intraday because they just have too much variety for me personally. Um, don't know if they'll hold or the move continues. So I try to just focus on the multi-day. But boom, we get uh, UAVS again on the 25th after a day of consolidation. We see the move is recognized because we got pre-market volume. We see it fading, and then boom, right at 206, we get that first little action. Yep. And I bought this play in the 260s, right? So one thing I recognize, right, just over time with experience is, right, you got to pay attention to whole and half numbers. So if you can see right here, if you look, I got a 380, 286, a 260, 240, 220. I'm at 260, right? If I'm looking, I'm at a decent area for my buy because one, I see that the pre-market action, it topped off and it punched, it ended right there. I see the initial spike it ran, and I know I missed this initial move, but I want to see if this initial move can continue and, potentially, go 20-30%. In this particular move, I knew there would kind of be two outcomes, right? And that's what I was paying attention to, because that number three, it was factors why I was hesitant on this move actually continuing. One was because the volume in that daily chart, the daily chart holds everything, right? If I see a stock and it kind of just faded, it popped up from 230, went to a high of 420, but faded back down to 230 and kind of held low from 170 to 180. I'm not expecting this stock to go back up to 4, but I'm paying attention to those whole and half psychological numbers. So 250 and 3 are like the psychological numbers that we have in our head just as humans, right? We like even things. So I bought at 260s, see it gets to 3. Still holding 260s after it, came down from here. And once I saw this like double topping action, I felt like it was supposed to break 3 right here. I sold my shares I sold my shares at 284, and I just locked in about $500 on this trade. But again, if I'm checking the SPY of the day on the 25th, the SPY, we have this whole, like, we started off a little warm, but we get basically a pullback down to those lows. So I don't ever want to kind of predict what's happened. I just want to react to what's given. And since I see that the market is going down, and I also know that that daily chart isn't the best, just was selling early was just the best decision in my head. A little over $8,000 for the week. Hopefully this video helps someone out. If it does, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.